Hey, top of the morning to you. This is Rose Price, a realtor at Landmark Real Estate here in Champaign, which is Champaign, Urbana. And today I have Sheri Evans from Prairieland Insurance Group with me. And you know, we went out to dinner last week, and there were some things that she said that really intrigued me about homeowners insurance. So I have her undivided attention today, and I'm going to ask her, every time I have a client, Sheri, and they have to get a homeowner's insurance policy, and you made some comments about that you wish buyers would do what?
Well, first of all, I think that it's really important that when they meet with their agent, that the agent comes out and inspects the home first and looks over the home and sees everything about the home that's important. A lot of times, it will get missed on a homeowner's policy that they have a finished basement. And it's important finished basements to have water backup. So, and then after you write the policy, it's also very important to go over that policy with the insured to make sure that you have everything written right within the policy. It first starts with property coverage and the amount, and that's of course the amount of compensation covered for a loss. And there's some important points to that. We have a lot of people that say, well, my market value for what I paid for it was only this, but you're telling me I need to have it covered for this much. And that's the difference between market value and replacement cost. If you have a total loss, it's not going to always be the same as the market value. Lots of times it's more because the cost to rebuild a home goes up year after year. So, and another point is, reviewing the replacement costs with your agent. Most homes are covered for replacement costs, but then there are times that they're older homes and they will only be covered for actual cash value, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But also review your peril coverages that are on your policy, because peril coverages, we just had an instance a couple of weeks ago where the peril was covered for basic. And I don't know if necessarily the insured knows that. There's 3 forms. There's basic, broad, and special, which pretty much covers all risk but excludes some. Another important point, I think, is make sure that you're looking at your discounts. A lot of times with maybe older homes and they replace the roof, or for example on this policy I have here, it was the age of dwelling discount. They have the electric discount because it was upgraded. Anything upgraded, there might be a discount for that. So those are things you want to look over and review initially during the part of the process when you're asking them questions about their home before you write it. And then review other structures on your policy. I mean, if you have a detached garage, make sure you have the right coverage on that, and then also coverage on other buildings. So those are some of the things, as far as the property that's important, to take a look at.
I see. Well, just out of curiosity, do you think that buyers, when they are buying a home, they have a clue about what their homeowner's insurance will cost them before they've already committed to a home?
I don't think they do. So I think it's very important for them to do their homework, and before they even purchase their home, to go to an insurance agent and say, look, this is the house that I'm thinking about looking at purchasing, can you give me a quote? And we're able to look at information and give a quote from that to give them kind of a ballpark idea where they're going to be. So
very good. Well, so what about deductibles? Do we have deductibles? I mean, what's that all about?
Yes, and deductibles is another thing to look at. And that's sometimes where people, it's kind of like the surprise when somebody ends up having a claim and they really haven't looked at or reviewed their deductibles, that it's a lot more than what they thought it was going to be. An example is percentages. We've seen policies that we have quoted that have had a percentage. Like, for example, you have a $250,000 house, has a 3% deductible on it. Well, that's $7,500. That might be what it costs to replace your roof.
I see.
So, and then, you know, the insured is surprised by that. So my tip is do your math on your deductibles. And then the other thing, if you have a set amount for or you have a deductible that is a set amount, set that money aside. So whenever you do, if you do have a claim, it's there.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about just personal situation. You know, I got to get a little personal in this.
Yeah, sure.
So I just live in a small little bungalow. And, you know, I talked to my agent about this a long time ago when I first bought this place. But I actually have that little bungalow overly insured. It sits on a half lot. And I found out that, you know, if that were to burn down, it'd be pretty tough for me to rebuild that. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about your thoughts on replacement cost and actual cash value.
Well, that is, replacement cost is where it costs to replace or repair like kind, to build it like it was. Actual cash value is when you have replacement minus the depreciation. So for example, a lot of times companies will put on roofs that are 15 years old, there's some companies out there that they will change that to actual cash value because of its depreciation.
I see. So when I have a buyer and they come to you, you know, they've got a contract on a house and they come to you and to get a policy, what happens with all that personal property that they're going to bring into that new home? What do you do about that?
That's what I say, where if again, explaining personal property. Personal property is pretty much, I like to say, everything that's not attached in the home. Like, for example, your furniture, your electronics, stove, refrigerator, those types of things, your clothing, all of those types of things. And you want to check to see, because replacement cost, when you're looking at your policy or looking to write your policy, you typically, most of them will have where you can get the replacement, but then there's also times that it's just actual cash value. So my best tip is to make sure you have that replacement cost on those personal, on your personal property. And then another thing, a tip is, and this goes way back, but is to make a list of all those things that you have in your home. Make lists of the things you have in your garage. Make lists of, you know, all of that stuff, and then take pictures. So if there was ever a loss, you have that in your files, you know, in a lockbox where you can access it if something does happen. And then another key to personal property, I think, is high ticket or high dollar items like your diamond rings, your collector antiques.
How about my boat? Will my boat work?
Yeah. And then you want to make sure that those are scheduled, because making sure those are scheduled, you get the value out of those. And typically with some companies, it's all risk covered. And also you have a lower deductible on those if you have them scheduled. If you don't have them scheduled and you just have them on your personal property, your personal property, you may not have the coverage that you would have with the scheduled. For example, an expensive antique piece.
I see.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, somebody else brought up to me, and I have no clue what this is, but what does additional living expense mean?
That would be if you had a fire, you have a total loss, you know, where are you going to go? Well, you're probably going to have to stay in a hotel, and you're going to have to eat out at restaurants. And then if there's anything left after the fire, you're going to have storage for items. So that helps to cover those expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So what does liability coverage do for me?
Well, liability is very, very important. It helps to protect an event that you become legally liable. Example, like if someone slips and falls on your steps, and that's where the liability comes in.
Cleaning out my gutters.
Well, not for you, but if somebody comes on your property, that's where
That's
where it helps cover. And it's also it's to help prevent paying out of pocket. And you have a legal financial obligation to make sure that your property is safe. Like, for example, if there's ice on your step, making sure that that's taken off. A lot of times when you're looking at porches and everything, we require that you have a railing around it. Well, there's reasons for those things that we ask to be done, and it's because of the liability part of it.
Okay, I see. All right, and then kind of the last point I thought maybe you could talk about here, Sheri, is, how does medical payments work? I mean, I'm on Medicare. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Insurance with my house.
As it relates to insurance, is medical. It covers for medical expenses related to bodily injury, in like something that happens in the home or in the property. That is how that works.
Okay. So, and just summing up all of this, it seems to me like it would be I've just learned that probably before my buyers buy a property, they should really be checking in with you or whoever their insurance person is, and get a handle on what this is all about,
what they think
ahead of time, so it's not a surprise. Because even there are other expenses that buyers have no clue about until after they're in the middle of purchasing a home. I already wrote a contract. They're called closing costs, and other items that they end up maybe having to pay for, inspections and that kind of thing.
Well, and another example of that is, getting into a home and finding out there's knob and tube in it. There's a lot of companies now that won't even write homes that won't have
insure
knob and tube in it.
Okay.
So it's very important to get those inspections done, and talk to an agent before you are doing your purchasing.
Well, Sheri, you very enlightened me to homeowners insurance policy, far more than what I've thought about, even for myself. So why don't you tell the folks today a little bit about your company, how you got started, where you're located, and how to contact you for business.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've been in it for about 6 years now. Prior to that, I was in the retail industry as a district manager, and partnered with Patty Skinner Reed, and we partnered also with Prairieland Insurance, and our office is in Newman, Illinois, and you can contact us at 217-837-2713.
Okay, so there you have it. I'm going to get myself in this film. She's good, isn't she? Well, listen, this is Rose Price, a realtor here at Landmark Real Estate. We hope you enjoyed this little video today about homeowners insurance. And, if you have a need, get a hold of Sheri. And you know what? Until next time, have a powerful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.